Hey guys, B Twice here. Today is Tuesday, August 10th. I hope everybody had a really good day. Only have time for a few videos today, so I figured I was going to take a deeper dive into AMD. We'll look at Apple because I haven't touched on that one in a little while, and then we will look at SPY. So to kick this thing off, we're going to look at AMD. I noticed the video over the weekend got a lot of hits on AMD. It was an AMD and NVIDIA video. I'm assuming that the main culprit for those clicks was AMD. Obviously, we bled significantly so far this week, and that's why I think people probably are going back to look at to see um, if they can get any other tips from that video. So I figured I was going to take another look at the correction, just at the correction, because if you guys want to see my price targets going forward, you can go revert back to that other video on the weekend because that still stands. We're just going to take a deeper dive into the correction. We're going to look at the 15-minute level so we can try to figure out where is this thing going. So let's look at the beginning of this correction. So what did we see? Well, we saw a five-wave move to the downside. We had a 1, a 2, a 3, a 4, and a 5. So here's our A. So that's a simple zigzag correction. It looks to be that way so far. We pulled down for an A, we popped up for a B, and then we have to find our wave C price target. So on the video over the weekend, I talked about where we could potentially be going for wave C, and then I thought that the dip would be a buy on AMD when we got down there. So based upon the extension I took off this drawing on the 15-minute, it looks like somewhere between 103.94 and this $96 range is going to be our bottom. I also put a extension kind of stuck in the middle between those two on here because I really don't think AMD is going to be able to go back beneath 100. There's just too much call buying that's been going on with AMD, and there's a lot of people trying to buy the dip. I just don't think it will go back beneath 100. So with that being said, I do think it'll end up being shallow. So let's talk about why I think this is probably going to go a little bit lower tomorrow or within these next couple days, and all dips will end up being a buy. So what I'm seeing so far, and I actually started drawing the smaller minute waves on here so you guys can kind of see where my head's at. So when I was first drawing this, I was trying to see, hey, do I see a clear 5 waves to the downside taking us down to this bottom here, saying that bottom would already be in. There is a way to draw that to where that could be 5 waves, and you could say, oh yeah, bottom looks like it is in today, and maybe it is. But what I'm seeing is I actually see a 5-wave move to the downside here. I see a 1, 2, 3, pop up for a 4. So you had A, B, C, pop up for your 4, and then ultimately flush down for a 5. So now because I saw 5 waves here, and I'm not saying that that is my C, that means it has to be a higher degree 1. And we know it's not my C because we went lower. So clearly that's not my C, that's not bottom. So I have to label that as a higher degree 1. So then we popped up for a 2, and now what am I seeing? A 1, 2, 3, 4, 5. So I'm seeing another clear 5 waves down, meaning that has to be my wave 3 because I had 5 waves for a 1, popped up for a 2, 5 waves for right here, taking me to my 3, meaning that our rally today takes me up to our wave 4. And that's what makes me believe that unfortunately we're going to have another flush to the downside. And ultimately, I do think it's going to be shallow. I wouldn't be surprised if we catch bottom at 104, just beneath here. Maybe we have a double bottom situation where our wave 5 bottom ends up being at the exact same level that we saw today. And that's why what I've drawn is I've drawn this red circle and I've put my wave C in here because it could be anywhere in here. It could have happened today, even though I'm saying I'm favoring AMD going lower. It very well could have been in today if my count is wrong. But based on everything that I'm seeing on this count, I do ultimately think that tomorrow or maybe the next day we will flush a little bit lower. Hopefully we get this double bottom scenario. Maybe it's a little truncated. Maybe it just goes a little bit deeper than what we saw today. And then that will be a great dip buy spot because from there I still think my price target of around $130 a share stands. I really like AMD long term. I do think that they've taken a ton of business from Intel, but with that being said, based on the waves that I'm seeing here, I personally believe that we will head a little bit lower, but then that would be a good dip buy spot. So just be mindful of these levels. And maybe this 103.94 will end up being bottom. But ultimately, if the market doesn't flush tomorrow, then there's a good shot that maybe the bottom already did get placed in. But with that being said, dips are a buy on AMD, and hopefully we can get to 130 soon. Okay, so I want to take a look at Apple. just because we haven't looked at Apple in a while. I don't even remember the last time I did a video on Apple. So I just wanted to touch base on what I'm seeing, and where do I think Apple is going over these next few weeks. Um, so I went through and threw this in TradingView and counted it up. And basically what I'm seeing is that right now we're working on finishing off a wave three, a primary wave three. I think our primary wave three price target is still about 155 a share. So I still think that Apple has some upside here in these next couple weeks. So now that we've seen what the actual price target is, let's take a deeper dive in to try to figure out, okay, where is it going to be going over these next few days, next couple weeks to get us to this 155 range. So with that being said, what I'm seeing so far is that we're actually in a wave five finishing off this wave three. And so far within this wave five, we've pulled up for a one, we've pulled back for a two. Now I've got my invalidation here. So this red line right here that says it's a one and it's 141.76. What this means is if we go beneath 141.76, that is our invalidation mark. So what that means to me is I am bullish about Apple above 141.76, because even though I'm about to go over this count here in a second, because we haven't passed this peak of wave one yet, we could be in a complex correction that could send us lower, almost all the way down to 141.76, touch it, and then ultimately launch to 155. So that's why I'm saying, hey, this is my invalidation level. It's 141.76, and I am bullish, and I'm going to be buying all dips on Apple above that level. If we break that level, that's a good spot to have your stop loss. So now let's jump into what I'm seeing. So what I'm seeing is we pulled up for a one, we pulled back for a two, and now we've pulled up for another a minor wave one. We're pulling down for the two, and I still think there's a little bit lower we have to go. Where I think we're going to go is I think we're going to bottom at the 61.8% retracement, which is going to be right around 144 a share, which just so happens to be this trend line that I've drawn that looks like we've been respecting over these last few weeks or so. So what do I think is going to happen on Apple? I think we're going to pull back a little bit, probably tomorrow. I think we're going to go down. We're going to kiss this trend line, which happens to be the 61.8% retracement. From there, I think we're going to rally up for a wave three to about 150, have a slight pullback, and then ultimately we're going to make that final push. So with that being said, I am bullish about Apple, and I think that all dips should be a buy above this 141.76 level.